So, I was asked Mark yesterday, what can you learn after 2 practices? Anything you gain after 3 when you put some shoulder pads on? Does that change the dynamic at all?
You know, you never know with some of the young guys, especially if they've looked good through a couple practices, no pads on. Sometimes it changes with pads on. I haven't watched the tape yet, but there wasn't any real glaring issues of that. So I was really pleased with how guys responded to putting on pads and starting to do a little bit.
Kind of hitting kind of situational stuff? I don't know. Maybe for you guys.
No, it was still pretty basic practice today. Just getting through some periods. We did a third down period in a few situations, but for the most part, we're just still in the process of installing and getting everybody used to being at practices.
Don was saying on defense, he usually uses the first 6 days for installing really, really heavy. Is there a similar mindset for you guys where the first week is pretty intense?
We're actually going to install for 10 or 12 days, so we'll be almost through 2 weeks before we get everything in. Right now, it's coming at them faster than it will on a game week. We have a lot more limited game plan during a game week than what they're having to learn right now, so we're throwing them in the deep end of the pool.
Just test your patience as a coordinator a little bit?
I mean, there's some really good things happening out there. There's some things happening, that are mistakes you expect. Some guys haven't ever done these things before, and that's always the case when you have some new guys. So it's just always interesting to watch, the guys that used to be young and make those mistakes. Now they're the ones that are teaching the young guys that are making those mistakes for themselves. So it's always just an evolution and a process, and it's kind of fun to watch.
A guy like Lloyd, who's not your typical newcomer, obviously in the spring he worked some of those kinks out, learning a lot of stuff. What's he look like now? He's still obviously learning a lot.
I think Johnny Lloyd had a great summer. I think he spent a lot of time with our guys, and mentally he's way ahead of where he was in the spring. I haven't really seen him make any mistakes out there yet, so he did a great job picking all that up in the summer.
You talked about being a punt return possibility. Is he also maybe a candidate for kick return?
Yeah, I think we have a bunch of guys, Johnny Lloyd included, that are going to compete for the job of returning kickoffs and returning punts. Obviously Braylon was going to be our punt returner. I think he would have been maybe the best in the nation, and so we're looking to fill that role. And I'm sure there's a bunch of guys that are trying to impress Coach Osborne.
Typically this early on, the defense is a little ahead of the offense. Is that for now, or is that what you're seeing?
I think the defense might be a little ahead, but it certainly helps when we got a quarterback that's played 2 years and is that caliber of player. We also have 5 returning starters on the offensive line, which limits a lot of those mistakes. So I'd say we're closer to where they are right now than we usually are.
Having a returning quarterback and having 5 guys back on the line, how does that change installation? It doesn't seem like you'd have to worry about as much when you're working on installation for the offense.
No, we still have to take our time installing because all the new guys. We're not just giving the first group reps out there. We're giving 3 groups reps out there, and if we went too fast, it would be a Ringling Brothers circus with the third group. The trick is not slowing it down so much to cater to the third that you're not doing the first group a disservice, but at the same time it doesn't hurt that first group to go back through all the basics again too.
Having coached the receivers before, obviously now you're a coordinator, do you find yourself maybe paying close attention to the receivers given that it's a group you used to be close with?
Yeah, I loved coaching receivers here. I had some guys that will always be like brothers or sons to me. Keenan's kind of one of the last few guys that I got to coach a lot, but he's such a great leader for us and so mature now that mostly we just tease each other. But I don't have to watch receivers much. Coach Lubick does such a great job with those guys that he's got them on point, and if there's something I see, tell Coach Lubick and it gets fixed.
Does Dwayne Stanford remind you of anyone with his size and skill set?
It'd be hard to come up with a comparison right away, but Dwayne has elite hands. He's got big old hands and catches everything. It was a shame to see him go down last year, but he's coming back and he's definitely in the mix with the rest of those guys for playing time.
He said last year kind of taught him how much he loves this team and loves football. What have you seen from him? Just the hunger to be a big part of it again.
Yeah, it's easy to take things for granted. I tell my guys all the time that nothing worth having comes easy. For a lot of these guys, through high school, maybe their first year of college, everything came pretty easy, and inevitably there's going to be setbacks, and you have to learn some perseverance. And I think once you go through some of those things, it means even more to you.
I'm sure his eyes are pretty wide now, but what have you seen from Morgan Mahalik early on, first impression?
Yeah, Morgan can really throw it. He's a good athlete. We threw him in the deep end, and sometimes he's treading water and sometimes he's sinking, but he definitely has the skill set to be really good. We just have to catch him up mentally.
Mark talked a little bit about how for the players you got to get better, but also as a coach, you do it once or twice, you should be better the second or third time around. For you, is there things that you've picked up on from last year as an offensive coordinator going into this year that you should do or not do?
Yeah, I think coaches get better just like players, and I definitely feel more comfortable in my role this year. That being said, we laughed about it yesterday because practice goes so fast out here that it even takes us a couple of days to get used to seeing things and thinking that quickly. But we fall back into a rhythm just like the players do.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Bree, how are you?